welcome to another episode of the Hanukkah Erotica Book Club podcast. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined here by my stepsis and co-host Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hi. Shavua Tov.
And Shavua Tov. We're here on a Saturday night, which is really working out well for me. I wanted to tell you that. Well,
I know. I feel the same way. No, when you first said, "Can we try Saturday night?" I was like, "Yes," but I feel like that's going to be more complicated. But it totally was great, actually.
Better, because Jonah's sleep without a nap, which he's basically, it was great.
I'm nodding vehemently because it's exactly the same here. Exactly.
I feel like $1 million, and we should consider this.
Totally.
Yeah.
And also, as a preschool, like, why do 2- and 3-year-old schools force kids to take these long afternoon naps? It's really not nice.
I really articulated to the school. I was like, it is a quality of life issue. Like,
totally.
When he doesn't take a nap, he's asleep easily before 7 with no issue. He's exhausted.
Right.
Can't keep his eyes open. Right. On the weeknights,
it's like a nightmare. Yeah.
He's asleep after my bedtime, and I'm losing it. And I don't know. It's like they have to take a rest, but really it's like they are almost misinterpreting what the Department of Health's policy is.
I've dealt with this for many children, many years, and each time it's super annoying. I'm like, I'm paying you, so why am I the one who's suffering? Like, I don't get it.
It's horrible.
But whatever. Saturday night, working like a charm.
Amazing. Incredible. Absolutely just the best. I'm so happy to be here. Welcome to season 3 to our listeners.
Season 3.
Can't believe it.
We're back in the saddle. It's great.
It's just season 2 is amazing. Well, I guess the start of season 3 was our incredible conversation with Gene Meltzer.
No, I think that was the finale of season 2.
Okay, this is the beginning of this is the beginning of season 3. Welcome to season 3.
We're here. Yes.
Okay. Gene Meltzer
was amazing.
Oh my God.
Just wildly exceeded expectations.
Completely. It was an amazing conversation. I loved talking to her. I can't believe how incredible she is, what she's been through.
Totally.
How learned and she was so gorgeous inside and out. I just loved talking to her.
She was inspiring.
Yeah.
And then she made that hilarious image of our joke that I thought she was going to be offended by, but she totally ran with it. It was so hilarious.
So funny.
So funny. She's just great. She's so cool.
Yeah, she really is. Our parents had a very strong reaction to that episode.
Oh, did they? I didn't hear any of this. There
were tears.
Oh my God.
There was weeping. There was, how are you going to top this? There was, really? But it's like what I said at the Rip Bodice when we had that great conversation about Zan West's book, and Aram was like, where are you going to go from here? And it's like, we're just going to keep on doing what we're doing. Everything will be fine. And
also, like, there's just something a little silly, like the emotional hyperbole. Like, I think it's great too. It's so nice that they're so excited about it. But like, I've said this before, like, my dad also said he was weeping from the Eliza Ben Shalom interview. And it's like,
for sure.
I've had grandchildren, like had a career. Like, I just feel like, why is this what he's weeping over? It feels a little weird.
No. It's not that. There was one thing that he was just so proud, and then that's different. Like the pride in us doing this.
That's what's insulting.
That's what's insult. The pride,
right?
But the content is what's getting
weeping over the content is actually nice, right? No, that's sweet. You're right. Totally.
They're two separate things.
Separate my emotions. You're right. You're right.
Two separate things. Yes.
Totally.
The fact that they've never been prouder about any other thing we've done.
Right.
With like really great careers and families.
Right.
Beautiful kids.
Right. Gives me pause there. But you're right. No, Gene Meltzer's interview.
The difference is it
was cry-worthy. Totally. I teared up during the conversation. I mean.
Yeah. So I'm so excited that we talked to her, and I want to have her back on when she writes her next book. I
Yeah.
will say this, though. I want to say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If this has to be cut, I trust you and William.
Okay.
I feel like maybe I said this already to you, but like I think she like when I wanted to know about her writing process, she answered a different question. I
Oh.
understand why she answered it the way she did, but like because our parent, like your I think my mom and your dad were like, no, that made sense to me. Her answer made sense to me, but I wanted to understand, like, I wake up, I have a nice Americano, I put on my
Oh.
comfiest, like I wanted to know how she does it, how much time, like how does she get into the zone and what happens and where is she writing, like that's what I meant about the writing process. But instead it was like I send my first draft and then they edit it and then they send a second draft back, and I was like, oh my god, this is I understand that why you're answering it this way, but I wanted to know something else.
Totally. Totally. That's too
But
high
then I
level.
couldn't yes.
Right. No, I get it. And I actually think that that's true. Like, I didn't know that was the question you were asking, and that her answer did make sense to your
Right.
question in my head. So I get it.
Yes,
But I
to
do also
everyone's.
feel like not enough people give that granular breakdown, which is
That's
really
what I
what
want to
people
know.
want to know. I think about about any interesting, accomplished person. Like, when are
Right.
you waking up, and like what's happening in 10-minute increments?
Yes, I want exactly. Especially because with Jean, she was saying that there was a 2-year period where her husband had to wash her hair in a bowl.
Right. Right.
And
So
now she's cranking out these amazing novels.
Right. So, like, how does she have the stamina? What's her regimen? Like, what's going on?
Like, I want to know, like, is there an avocado toast with 2 eggs situation? When is it happening? What's your
Totally.
snack?
Totally.
How much are you writing? And I understand there's like an outline, but I just wanted to know more.
Right. Are you napping? Are you, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to know all of that.
Me too. When we have her back on, I'm going to tell her.
Okay, great.
Jean,
Noted.
you misunderstood my question, and
Right.
I want to know the answer to this other question.
I don't care about your draft. I want to know what are you drinking in the morning?
Yeah. Tell us more. Okay, so yes, love talking to Jean. And I cannot wait to talk to you about the book that we read for this episode.
Same. I'm
Now, if you're
ready to dive
if you're
in.
listening along, we're going to say this. We posted on Instagram what the book is for tonight. It's Pride and Preference by Barbara Bensoussan is how I'm going to pronounce it. Could be pronounced a different way. I don't know.
Right.
Like many words in the book, I'm not sure how they're pronounced, and I'd like to talk more about that. But this is
Same.
a book, dying to know how you discovered this, Mal, because it's a self-published book that is a orthodox take on Pride and Prejudice.
Right.
And it is a romance, but also a family. It's a lot going on here. But the reason I mentioned that we posted it on Instagram is because on our last episode, we didn't say that we were reading this book. So if you're the kind of listener who really reads along and you don't follow us on Instagram, you could pause here, read the book, catch back up. But otherwise, for the majority of our listeners, you're not reading along with us. Please enjoy.
Right. And the reason we didn't say it in our last episode is because between the Gene Meltzer season 2 finale and this season 3 premiere, we had a longer break than usual. We had New Year's. We had Hanukkah. Happy 2025, by the way.
Happy New Year.
And I don't know if
We
you
weren't ready.
We weren't ready. Also, by the way, did you do anything for New Year's? Did you have, because we haven't spoken in a few weeks about just regular life.
We did. Mitchie and I met on New Year's, remember? You were there.
Oh, yes, of course.
And so we really like to go out.
Of course.
So the kids slept at my in-laws, and we actually, before the kids slept at my in-laws, we all lit candles at our parents' for
Cute.
Hanukkah, because it was New Year's Eve and Hanukkah, which I really loved. I don't remember Hanukkah bridging 2 years.
Me neither.
So cool. And so, and then the kids slept at my in-laws, and we went out to a really nice restaurant, but it was a really late reservation. And when we got there, even though we had a reservation, there were no tables. So we were it was a really long night, but fun.
Oh, wow. Wait, in the city or in your town?
No, in New Jersey.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, in a town called Summit.
Cool.
It was really, really fun, really nice.
Were you there till midnight?
Yeah, we were there till after midnight. At midnight, they started passing around champagne flutes, which I really think their intention was just to have like for the staff. There
But
weren't
then
that many tables left.
that's funny. But then all the
But they're like,
customers
well,
were
there are
taking them
people
to
still here.
right. Cute.
It was nice. What about you guys?
We went, yeah, I really liked that. I was like, why does Hanukkah seem like a bigger deal this year than usual? And I was like, we said October 7th and people are more into like the Jewish pride. But then I was like, no, I think it's just that it's over vacation.
Yes.
And usually I'm just like, oh, it's Hanukkah, but whatever, I'm working. It's not a major holiday. But this time you could really like be in Hanukkah, I felt like, in a way that you usually can't, which I really loved.
I loved it.
Yeah. And I was like, screw that whole Hanukkah's not a major holiday. It's major enough. Like, you know.
Totally. The menorah's gorgeous. Presents
Menorah's
are fun.
gorgeous. It's all, yeah, it's so fun. So, we just, there was a menorah lighting and Matisyahu concert outdoors in downtown Brooklyn by Borough Hall.
Oh my God.
In front of Borough Hall.
That's absolutely a setting or a chapter of the romance in my head.
It could have been really romantic. Yeah, I felt like it was just like, it was cold, but that happened to have been like a little bit of a warmer night. So it wasn't like uncomfortably cold. It was outside. There was a big menorah. It was in that like square in Borough Hall, like a plaza kind of thing.
So wait, is Matisyahu Happy Hanukkah?
He opened with that. Absolutely. My kids love that song. I mean, I love it too.
That
It's
song's so
great.
good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, Matisyahu.
It's funny because at our town Chabad candle lighting, but it's like Chabad candle lighting, but also like our shul is there. It's like very like, everyone together in the town square lighting the menorah.
So
there's
nice.
a playlist, and I feel like it's like 3 songs on repeat, and of course it's like every 2 seconds, Happy Hanukkah.
That's a great Hanukkah song.
It's really good.
You know that our theme song, which is William's Hanukkah song that he wrote, Pass the Candle, is on the Apple Hanukkah playlist.
Tonight.
That is nuts.
Pretty great.
Really great.
But yeah, the concert was great. Oh, and you know who I saw? Hindi, Pufko, and Seth Galina were there.
Oh, that's so
I haven't seen them in years. That was so it felt very like, I don't know, the gang's all here. Totally. Very Labadick. Kosher Dill's
word
opened.
that comes up in this book. Oh, Kosher Dill's opened.
Kosher Dill's opened. Which,
really fun.
I thought was fun. So yeah, the kids all liked it. Then we walked home. We were home, early, and then we just hung out.
Really, really fun night.
Yeah, such a fun
Really
night.
good setting. Cold Brooklyn night, Hanukkah, New Year's overlaps. I think I'm going to start writing this stuff down.
That's a good setting. That could be a really romantic
or at
setting.
least pass it along to Dahlia Adler.
Yeah, they got to use this
Have
material.
someone else write it.
Totally.
This is good. This is some sexy stuff.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Especially because, like, some of the books have, like, the real band names, and some of the books, like, her books had real band names.
Right. This would
Throw
be like
Kosher Dill's in there.
a different Hasidic, like, I don't know, it would be like Yehuda Maccabee. Like, I don't know, like a different name of a reggae Hasidic, whatever. Be like, why not just call it Matisyahu? Anyway.
Yeah, it's really good, really fun. I went to one Matisyahu concert one time.
Where? Like a big one? Like after he got really big?
It was somewhere in Brooklyn.
So not
I feel
a big
like
one.
it wasn't huge, like at the Garden or anything, but it wasn't so small.
Right.
I need to kind of try to access that memory and figure out who I was with, what it was. I can't do it now on the podcast. It'll be too much like a quiet time. I can't remember any details. I don't know what, like, I could have been with you. I have no, but it's not ringing any bells for you.
It's not ringing bells for me. I went to many Matisyahu concerts. Did we go to one at BB King's? Remember that place in Times Square?
But I don't think so.
I went to one there, and there was a news reporter. Like, it was like right when he was kind of getting a little bigger, and there was a local news reporter like talking to people on the line, and a few people saw a very overexcited me on the news talking about how Matisyahu was like a force for bringing people together in the world.
This is classic you, and also more validation that it's good that we're still going, because there's just more stories. What? I've never heard that one. I need to find that clip.
I wonder if that clip is findable. Because it would be good blackmail, if nothing else.
It's really good stuff.
Yeah, it was good. But I went to a bunch of his like small concerts when he was, up
That's
and
really
coming.
fun.
But it's been a long time since I've seen him. He's not dressed like a chassid anymore. But it was a great.
Oh,
Yeah, he's moved away from that. But
all right. Do you know the David Diggs song "Puppy for Hanukkah"?
Sure,
It's so good.
really good. That's on the
I
Apple
really
playlist
love
too.
it.
Yeah,
it's
it's really
a
good.
really good song.
It's really good.
It's a really good song.
That is a good song. There's
My
a
kids
lot
love
of
that song.
yeah, of course they do. Everyone loves that song. There's a lot of good Hanukkah songs that I've just discovered in the last couple of years that I really never knew existed.
There was, okay, tell me if you know this one because I cannot find it and I just have to ask our Chabad Rebbetzin and Malki. But basically, like, there is a version of Mao Tzor that sounds like it's like EDM house club music.
Really?
But Mao Tzor. And I need to know.
That sounds
I
great.
need it. I need it.
That sounds amazing.
I was
don't
playing
know
Hanukkah
that.
music after we lit the candles every night. It was so
Sure.
much fun. And I was like, I need that song. I should have asked her.
But I don't know. Let's be honest. I feel like that Ocho Candelica song by Adina Menzel is like on every playlist. Could do without that one.
Yes. Yeah, but I just recently told Mitch the Adele Dazeem story because he never. Do you know the Adele Dazeem story?
I don't think so.
When John Travolta introduced Adina Menzel at one of the award shows, he was reading from a prompter. This is like almost 20 years ago.
Oh, God.
And John Travolta is reading from a prompter. And he goes, "The wickedly talented," because she's in Wicked and like she was the original Elphaba on Broadway in Wicked.
Right.
And he's like, "The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem."
Oy. Cringe.
And it really makes me laugh.
That's funny.
And he didn't know. I mean,
Also,
Mitch never heard that story.
You didn't practice
No, but, like,
that?
you never
didn't
heard
do
that
one
story.
read through of your cue cards?
Nothing. Adele Dazeem. It says Adina Menzel on the prompter, and he goes, "The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem." Anyway, so it was recently, Mitch and I were watching Nikki Glaser hosting the Golden Globes last week, and I started to do and Ariana, the cast of Wicked was there, like Cynthia Erivo, whatever. I was like,
right.
Do you remember Adele Dazeem? Anyway, he didn't, and I pulled up the video as we were watching the Golden Globes. I pulled up John Travolta saying Adele Dazeem. Really makes me laugh. Really old stuff. Anyway, break was good, and it was really fun being home for Hanukkah.
Agreed.
I do remember being over winter break one single time, because my mom brought my presents to my grandparents' house in Florida.
Oh, cute. I have no memory of it felt uniquely situated, but it must have happened.
It was probably earlier, like a couple days earlier, but I do remember that.
Cool.
I do remember that, yeah. Next year it's the 14th to 22nd.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we're back
I looked it up.
Right.
We're back, but we're still back to like overlap with a day of it. It's not like the Thanksgiving ones.
Right.
Thanksgiving and Hanukkah's weird.
Yeah. It slowly, isn't that how the calendar works? It like slowly gets earlier and earlier and then it, right.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Okay, cool. I'm along for the ride.
Anyway, next year for Hanukkah, we will read the Whisked Away by an Alien. So I keep talking about Whisked Away by an Alien.
Yeah, we got to get to that. It's too good. It sounds too good.
It's too good. The two penises and also
there's so much build up to those two penises. Like,
there really are. What's going to happen with them? I want to know. Really? And the thing is that I can't read it after Hanukkah, you know? It's like I want to read it. So I think we have to wait.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also want to read I Love You, Alatka.
Yeah, I did read it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we should read it for the podcast. Yeah, I read it.
Oh, okay.
Amanda Elliott's she's good. Like,
she's really good.
It's good. Yeah.
Okay, we'll fit that in.
It's good. Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
We'll fit that in for sure.
Okay.
Well, I think we can start after Thanksgiving next year.
Oh, yeah, right. We could do a longer wind up.
Through, you know?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a good point.
Okay. I cannot wait to talk to you about Pride and Preference.
Okay, let's talk about it.
First of all, how did you come up with this one?
Okay, so, like we have friends on Facebook who post, I feel like there's more and more of these people who post these long lists of books they've read over the year. It used to be just like I would see one or two people doing it. Now there's a lot of them.
Yes. Yes, it's because like Bookstagram, Book Talk, it's like, these bookish people are more in the zeitgeist.
Yeah. And it's very elaborate. Like they categorize them by topic and they star the ones they loved and they put something else by the ones they hated. They have a whole thing going on.
Yes.
So a person who I know, should I say her name?
Sure.
Yeah, Rishi Groner. Do you know her?
No.
I know her from Isabella Friedman. But
Which is the Jewish Retreat Center for our listeners who don't know.
Thank you. Jewish Retreat Center in Connecticut,
Berkshires.
the Berkshires, that we actually referenced because we felt like it was part of the vibe of the Gene Meltzer book that we read.
Yeah.
But she's like she's from family, but became like a Kohenet and is part of that world. And she reads a lot, and a lot of what she reads is Jewish. And she posted a list of like a lot of what looked like really interesting Jewish books. Probably a bunch of them are romances, and it just seemed like she had an eclectic list. And I was like looking at it, and that one she said was a take on Pride and Prejudice set from Brooklyn. And I was like, that sounds great. And so I just happened to look up that one. But honestly, I should go back to her list because there might be others that are in our genre.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
That's
so
how
I
I found
hadn't
it.
heard of this one.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
When's it? How long ago was it written?
New.
Oh, okay.
It's new. She published it this year last.
Okay.
It's self-published.
I figured. That's why I thought it was sort of a gem. The self-published ones are often just, good for discussion.
Absolutely. I also started to reread Pride and Prejudice in preparation.
Did
for
you?
Our conversation.
I read it. I read it long ago. Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah.
But then I started.
I also watched.
I was like, I don't need to do this.
Yeah, I also watched that whatever that masterpiece, that one where Colin Farrell or Colin something is Firth. Thank you. Colin Farrell's a different actor. Colin Firth was Darcy, and everybody loved that. I watched that. I think I remember it more from watching that than reading the book.
Me too.
I also read, Curtis Sittenfeld, who wrote romantic comedy, which we both loved. She also wrote a book called Eligible, which is a rewriting of Pride and Prejudice, but set on a reality TV show.
I need to read that. I think you mentioned that to me once before, and I love things that are set in reality. I love reality TV romance books.
Yeah, that one was really cute. I liked it. Anyway, that's my full knowledge of Pride and Prejudice.
But this is another good opportunity for me to plug another reality TV romance that's not Jewish. I know I've mentioned it probably 8 times, but One to Watch is so good.
You have mentioned that.
It's one of my... It's so good.
One to Watch. Cool.
One to Watch. So
anyway,
what did you think?
I guess the point is neither of us are Pride and Prejudice, experts or aficionados or anything.
No, but we have both read it and watched at least one of the movies.
Yeah. I got a kick out of it. I to be honest with you, I mean, I think that it's really like a scene for scene retelling of Pride and Prejudice.
That's what I wasn't sure about. Yeah.
I don't think it was like the Curtis Sittenfeld book was the general characters and general plot flow, but it was totally
same with
different.
The movie Fire Island, which I love. There's a movie called Fire Island. Bowen Yang's in it. This guy Joel Kim Booster wrote it. Joel Kim Booster wrote it. It's like a gay guys on Fire Island in the summer retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but it's right.
I think this was really a scene for scene retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I think it was very close mimicry.
Well, I only noticed the first paragraph. Other than that, because the way it starts is, it is a truth universally acknowledged in the Orthodox Jewish circles that a single young man possessed of aptitude for Torah learning must be in want of a wife, which is basically the same line of the Jane Austen book. But I don't know if it was scene for scene. I thought it might be, which is why I started to reread. I was like, I couldn't do it. But this book is hilarious. I don't know that it's meant to be as funny as it is.
I wonder. It is very funny.
The words, the language, the stereotypes, the yeshivish period.
The yeshivish is, for that alone, the book is worth reading. It's the best use of it that we've ever seen.
We have never seen this much yeshivish language in so many ways, because in literal words, but also in sentence structure,
Totally.
Conversation. We've
Yes.
never, so because also this is like from Brooklyn, but also because it's from Brooklyn, you got Lakewood involved, you got the five towns involved.
Yes. It's really just like the yeshivish, the New York yeshivish community.
Yes, but it's almost like there's a family with money, and then there's this like simple, modest yeshivish family.
Right.
But the family with money doesn't identify as being yeshivish. But it's like, they are.
Right.
They're not modern Orthodox.
No,
no
no,
one in the
no.
book.
No.
They're very from.
Yeah, they're all very from. They don't identify as being yeshivish?
No, because they're more yeshivish type. They talk about the others. Like,
Oh,
they're
right,
more
right, right.
yeshivish type. It's like, are you saying poor because you're very from?
You're yeshivish,
You're
right.
yeshivish. You're just
Totally.
rich.
Right, that's interesting. I guess like maybe within that community, they use that term in a different way than we do to label all of them.
Right. They were.
I didn't. Yeah.
So okay. First of all, there's some words I don't know. So you got this family.
A lot.
You got the Bennetts.
The Bennetts, right?
He is something at the shul, like the rap, but like what is chinuch? Like what is he?
I think he's like a principal of a school. I think he's like chinuch is like education. So I think and I think they call him a menahel at one point, which I know is a principal.
Oh yes, menahel.
I
Over
think
and over.
a
I'm
menahel is a principal.
This is a word I have literally never heard once in my life. What is menahel? What is it?
I'm pretty sure it's a principal. No. I think that's right. I think it's a principal. Like he's the principal of like
that like I am the principal of a school, and this is seen to be like a high-powered job, and he is the principal of the school, and the whole book is like the poor family and the menahel, and he's a menahel, and the chinuch and the menahel. The whole book, it's like affecting their shidduchs because he's a menahel, but his values, but he's a talmidei like, and the mitos and the mitos.
The mitos, yeah. She's a balmy. One of the best was when the mother. Well, I'm skipping ahead, but there was this a scene where the mother was calling different shidduch references for the oldest daughter.
Yes.
And they're all like, "Oh, she's a gem. She's a balas mitos. She's geschickt." I never heard that word. She's geschickt. She's gebeh. And I was just like, "Wow."
I'm sure I highlighted it. What's happened with the book is I highlighted so much that like really to do it justice, I need to record the audiobook. It needs to be me, and that needs to be a 12-hour episode of this podcast. That's how much that's how much I highlighted. I'm
this
sure
book
I highlighted
really needs an audiobook. She's geschickt.
It would be. The thing is that like, what is a chus? I don't know. I'm looking at all the different things I highlighted right now, and it's so intense. Also, he was with the chinuch, you said is education, if unless I'm pronounced. But then my favorite name in the book was Chesky. I love the name Chesky. But the thing is, what was Charna or Charna? Because every time I saw CH in my head, I'm going Chesky. I know that name's Chesky. Chinuch. I know it's not Chinuch.
Right, of course.
Wasn't, my head's not buried under the sand. As you told Gene Meltzer, I happen to know a lot. So, okay,
I
Chinuch,
did. You do know a lot.
Chaim, I see the names with the CH. I know it's a CH Cha.
Right.
But then Charna, I'm like, is it Charna?
I think it's Charna. I never met anyone with that name, but it can't be Charna. No, I'm pretty sure it's Charna. But you're right, it's inconsistent. I can't explain
Inconsistent for sure.
You're right.
Yeah.
But then it was like the word geschickt just really, I wish I had, it's like some friend was like, she's this, she's geschickt. But then there's a glossary at the end, and I was like, what's geschickt? And I looked it up, and it was like, she's handy. I was like, in what sense? What does that mean? She's handy.
Shayna's a doll, screeched Shayna's seminary friend Sippy. She's gorgeous. She's the best friend you could have. She's giving. She's geschickt. She daffins with such kavana. Whatever boy gets her will be very lucky. No, I never met the parents. That's this. The amount of conversation in this book is unlike anything we've read.
Totally.
They're talking so much shit. It's literally just
constant.
them,
yeah.
Just the whole book. It's just trying to set these girls up.
Right.
And it's yenting.
But it's also amazing how like Pride and Prejudice, which is set in like really, you couldn't get more different than Orthodox Brooklyn, I thought. Then I was like, oh, of course, this is the same. Like, I was like, how is this the same exact story? Because this feels realistic to me. Like, in a humorous way, but like the basic gist of it feels realistic.
Yeah, because like the thing is the Shad Khan world.
Right.
This is why. It's because like the way that dating happens with like the resumes and the Shad Khan and the calling and the where you're holding and the this and which also I can't have to talk about that in a few minutes. But it's so antiquated that like of course.
Right. They're living still in this way.
Right.
Although, I was just like, how does this match scene for scene so well? But then in her afterword, the author says that like one of the big issues was that a lot of the interactions between the characters in Pride and Prejudice happens when they like run into each other at a party or at a dinner. And like that doesn't really happen for men and women in these circles. So she had to like really craft it so it would be actually like they're never going to run into each other at like a dance or like whatever the Pride and Prejudice crew were doing, so she had to like, but she did an amazing job. It seemed seamless to me.
A lot of dancing with a yeshivish melody.
Yeah.
Labor parties across the mafitas.
Right. You had all the weddings.
The drunk sister
was great. Yeah.
So this book, first of all, there's so many characters. I read the books a couple times before we discuss.
Sure.
I have no idea who everyone is.
It's one of those books that I feel like this is a thing from old school romance novels, but they would have like family trees with like people and how they relate to each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like we maybe got that I think we got a family tree in either Felicia.
In like the Matchmaker's Gift maybe or something?
Oh, maybe. I needed one.
Yeah, it would have been helpful.
About it.
Totally.
I thought about it last week that I needed one. Okay, here's another thing I had a question about. Also, I recently saw a meme that's like people I don't want to get book recommendations from or people who find plot holes in books. And I'm like,
oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
Why? Did you feel did you feel like there were plot holes here?
No, here's my question. It's not a plot hole.
Okay.
The setting was very accurately Brooklyn, Five Towns, Lakewood, even like talking about like the houses in Lakewood versus the Brooklyn types and the this and the that. And you really have to know these communities intimately to even get what she's talking about. But I do.
Totally.
So it's like, I understand it. But then one of them gets married and moves to Rosedale.
Right.
And I'm like, is Rosedale a completely made up town in New Jersey? What is Rosedale?
I think it was a made up town.
I think it was meant to be like Hillside, which is next to Elizabeth, which is where a lot of people move, where my in-laws are.
Right.
Like,
do you? Because it sounded more, I don't really know Hillside, but I thought that's like a big Jewish community. This sounded a little more like small and out of the way because the whole thing was that he was sort of like a bumbling rabbi who had gotten this dwindling pulpit where most of the people were older. And it was like, oh, we don't have any kosher
like an up-and-coming neighborhood.
Yeah, like she was like, why don't you get it catered? Why does Charn have to make the kugel? And they were like, we don't have kosher catering here. This is Rosedale. Like,
I just wonder. Yeah, it seemed like it's a fictitious town. I'm like, Barbara, everything about this book is so accurate. She's talking about pomegranate, the supermarket.
She did talk about that.
The tropical kugel from pomegranate.
That was really good. That was a good detail. That sounded disgusting.
A great detail, but that sounded vile.
But they all hated it. It made sense. Yeah.
Tropical kugel from pomegranate.
They brought that up several times. They were like, just don't get the tropical kugel.
So it's like tropical kugel from the level of detail was so precise.
Totally. Like, you could taste that tropical kugel like fat.
Oh yeah. I could see that passing by me at a Shabbos table and not taking a scoop.
Absolutely.
Just pass that one right along.
Yeah. Here, have some more.
I wonder if they do make a tropical kugel. Can you let me know the next time you check pomegranate out? In person or
it sounds like the thing they would. It sounds like the thing they would make. Like someone's gonna think that that's like exotic and fun.
Yeah, but it's like canned pineapple and kugel. And
that's what I'm imagining.
Other weird stuff.
Canned pineapple, or like I don't know, with some mango. I'm imagining. Ugh.
In kugel with noodles, I don't understand.
Yeah, like in a sweet noodle kugel thing.
No.
So no, it's not good.
No. Mm-mm. Anyway, the detail, but then, so Rosedale, I was really curious about Rosedale because what Rosedale was in this book was like they were moving to this random place. They go visit her. They also, the timelines again, why it's smart that it's a parallel is that it all happens so fast.
Right.
It happens fast in like Regency England, and it happens fast in the Orthodox world.
Right.
It's like they're dating, and then like a friend calls up and she's like, I'm a Kala. It's like,
Right.
what?
Totally. And also
I didn't even know you knew Nahum.
Right. Now we're getting married. And also the whole idea of like, well, we're skipping all over the place with the plot, but like at one point, that boy Nahum, who's like kind of the ne'er-do-well of the book, I guess, runs away with the 18-year-old sister, like on a road trip, I get, like some illicit co-ed road trip, which I just thought was funny because it was supposed to be so illicit, but then it was like, we found them, they're in Lakewood. Nahum's staying at his friend's, and whatever her name was, the girl's staying across the street. Leora, thank you, was staying across the street. And I was like, oh, across the street. It's
well,
not
I love
that
it. Like,
illicit.
how illicit is it going to be? Shabbos is coming.
Exactly, right. So it was like, it seemed pretty tame. They were all very up in arms about it, but like it seemed...
They were, but her biggest transgression was like getting hammered and puking at a party, which isn't
that was
great.
pretty...
Come on,
no.
But it's still... It's not great, but it's also, that was the worst.
Totally. But you understood how that was crazy in this context.
Of course.
I didn't really understand why the road trip was such a big deal that it needed to end in them getting married. Like, they were staying across the street from each other. Like, nothing,
right.
Nothing really.
I don't think so.
It didn't seem like it. I mean, but right. Okay.
Check, he got to marry off all his girls.
Right. And she was like the trouble. So whatever, like, the parents were pretty like, yeah, we know this guy's a bum, but whatever. Maybe she's getting what she deserves. But I was kind of like, it's a little harsh. Like, she's 18. She really deserves to be tied to this guy for her life. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Eating tropical kugel.
And in the end, they're like, Leora had to come to her sisters and ask them for money periodically so their electricity wouldn't be turned off or they wouldn't be evicted from their apartment. And I was like, are we not supposed to? I don't know. Like, I thought that was supposed to seem like a happily ever after ending. Like, she got what was coming to her. But I felt bad for her. Like, Leora, she's like 19 years old. What is she? Like,
she's
come
19. On. She could have just had some growing up to do. Now she's stuck.
She's like begging her sisters who married rich. Totally.
No.
So that was, but it was funny. I mean, that was comedic. That was supposed to be comedic, I think. So
yes, it was. But the thing is, so many things were supposed to be comedic that I'm like personally offended by, like the weight stuff. Like, it's just like triggering. I don't. This idea that like I don't want to go out with him. I gained 5 pounds since the last time he met me, or like my waistline. This isn't good for my waistline. I shouldn't eat that cookie. I don't want a second cookie. Don't let me eat those kiddish cookies. My waistline. It's like
there was a lot
of that.
It's
so unpleasant to read, and it's like the thing is that like upset me about this book because it's like it was really funny. The amount of yeshivish was like, I mean, just truly a gift.
Yes.
And also, it did feel really accurate, but I think something that made me feel upset was like, it feels accurate, and these people are kind of terrible, and that upsets me. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want, like, this idea, like, the only thing that it seemed, like, the things that people cared about most, money was huge in this book.
Yes, huge.
Of course, they, like, did talk about, like, Torah learning and values, but it was like kind of always like a throw-in, like an add-on.
Yeah, like the main couple. I forget everyone's names now. Aliza and Danny. It seemed like their entire relationship and all their conversations revolved around him convincing her how normal he was, despite having like being rich, he hadn't like turned into a monster, and he still like kind of wanted to act poor because it was fun or somehow more moral. I don't know. The whole thing was super weird. Just a weird focusing on money.
So much of it.
Yes.
And I could never date anyone because I never knew if they wanted me for me.
Right.
Or my money.
Right.
And
then there was that moment where she was like, do you go away for Pesach to a hotel? Like, that was like a huge question because her dad, the Menahel, was very anti a Pesach hotel. And she was like, "How are you going
to teach your kids about Pesach if you're getting on a plane and going to Disney World?"
Right. And Danny was like, "No, we always made Pesach at home. Except the one year after my dad died, we went to a hotel, but it was very impersonal. And so from then on, we went to my aunt's." And she was like, "Oh, phew." Like, but I'm just like, whatever, go to a Pesach hotel. I don't know. Like even the proving that you're better than having money is very focused on money. Like it's all, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like
Yes.
even the people who are trying to show they're not focused on money are doing it by kind of focusing on money.
It was such a huge part of this book, and I found it distasteful.
Sure.
Especially because, like, I think it is kind of rooted in reality, and that upsets me. Like, it's just like, it makes me feel upset.
I mean, it's
But
probably the
it's
same as
all
Pride and Prejudice, like the actual Pride and
right,
Prejudice.
right, right. That is a good point. Absolutely. For sure.
Like it's funny, but it's also funny because it's somewhat true. That's what makes it funny.
Right. Right. Totally. Totally. I need to share more of some of the words that we found in this book, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of like Mrs. Bennet found a dress that actually covered up her plump waistline or like her padded whatever, something, right? It was like she
so
actually
much stuff.
Yeah.
Body image, like, but almost to the point that like it's so funny because it's like the exact opposite of like the contemporary books that we read that are so like Rachel and Solomon would never.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Amanda Elliott would never, right? It's like Dahlia Adler. It's like the exact opposite of like the current contemporary. But this is a new book. It's like this community is antiquated.
Right. That's why Pride and Prejudice can be scene by scene put onto it and it works.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally. But the thing is, like, the specific nuances, I almost wonder if like the author realizes like how, I think she does, but it's like all the camp stuff, where they go to camp and like Turo College, like the specific references. At one point they're all just in Israel.
Yeah. They have the whole crew travels to Israel. Yes.
At one point they're all just in Israel.
Yes.
Like the details are so rich and accurate in a way that's really,
even like the sort of like nice but kind of weird food, but that like there's always a sushi platter at every like event.
Yes, in the way where it's like sushi doesn't belong here, but there's always a sushi platter.
Yeah, it's just like added in. It's not like the meal is sushi. It's like whatever and sushi.
And a sushi platter.
Yeah.
I was standing by the sushi platter.
Right.
Exactly.
Or like, I don't know, there was one point where they talked about like at the engagement party, there were like those cookies with the monograms of their initials on them. Yeah. That's like ubiquitous. I'm sure some people in the regular world.
It does. That traverses so many different cultures. It's like Pinteresty in a way where it's like so from, but also like I saw pictures of a quinceañera today. It's like I've been to not christenings. I've been to a communion that had that. It's like,
got it.
Bridal showers, like those. It is so. It's like the kind of thing you would see at any one of these vorts, if you will.
Totally, it's at every vort.
Also, it does. It casts a wide net.
It casts a wide net, but I feel like it's at every vort. Like you cannot have a vort without those monogram cookies.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. The amount of also, I didn't know. Like the expression soon by you, or I didn't know, like I think I once shared this on the podcast with you, but it's like someone said, like Mitch's uncle Av said to me that he wouldn't be able to eat by us because he was having surgery right before the wedding, and he was literally saying he wasn't going to be able to eat at our wedding. And I was like, that's what he meant. Like that was the sentence, the way in
like
which
the structure of a sentence, like it didn't make sense. I get it.
I was like, what was he talking about?
Wait, because he said by you, which doesn't make it like he used by,
meaning,
right, like at you,
meaning
at
by our wedding.
Yes, at your wedding.
I won't be able to eat by your wedding.
Yes. I
was like, what?
Right, whereas in like actual English, it's supposed to, by is like I drove by your house, not like I meaning I passed it, not like
I know I said this before. Yes, but like I know I said this before, but like I set two people up once. One grew up in Brooklyn, very frum. One grew up secular, and after the whatever happened, it was all over. She was like, we also like I was like, where did you guys hang out? She's like, oh, like at a coffee place by my apartment. And I go, oh my God, I bet he was trying to meet by her apartment, meaning at her place. And she kept suggesting places nearby her apartment because she speaks
She
English.
didn't understand. Right.
And he's an English language learner.
Right. Wow. That's really funny. That's probably right.
Because she never would have ever said to me anything about a coffee place by her apartment. I've never heard her say that before in her life, but that is what she was saying, because he was probably saying, can I come by your apartment? And she's like, sure, there's this place downstairs called Gregory's.
It's really funny. What is that? Like, if we knew Yiddish, would we understand? But that's
yes,
like somehow
it is.
translated.
I asked people about it. Yes, it is. It's a Yiddish. It's like a direct Yiddish translation thing.
Oh wow, that's so funny.
But like, so it comes up in this book a lot. Like, soon by you, by this, by that. Like, the book is just completely to the point where it's like, if you don't know what they're saying, this book would actually make little sense.
Totally. There's
also her choice of like when to highlight things.
Yeah.
Like, certain things she's assuming the reader knows, but other things are highlighted as if we need to know that lebedik is a Yiddish word. But like, why balabatish isn't? Like, why is balabatish not? Like, the language.
Oh, that's not highlighted?
No.
That's really funny.
It's so, as circumstances had it, both Eliza and Shayna knew the Kala Sari. Camp Zmira had been too pricey for the Bennett girls. Everything's about money when they were younger, but both had worked there later as counselors with Sari, who had not been priced out as a child. Sari had also been in some of their classes at Turo College, and they were all on friendly enough terms, even if Sari's social circles were wealthier and more balabatish than theirs. Sorry, this is highlighted. Now, both were truly happy to see Sari's petite form swathed in cream color satin, her strawberry blonde curls elegantly twirled into an updo. There's just a random 4 sentences, and it just hits every single thing I'm saying in one random tiny paragraph.
Totally. There was one funny part, though, where one of them asks, like, where are you taking classes? And he's like, Turo, like, just like everyone else. Or something like that.
Turo really gets it.
Yeah, like every single person goes to Turo. That's like the only option.
Yes. Yeah, it says
also a real place.
Charna. Where are you in school? Charna wanted to know, fastidiously wiping oil off her fingers with a napkin. Turo, like everybody else, he replied easily. Can't wait to finish, in fact.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's really just so much. It's rich, filled with the. I can't believe the language. I mean, I have to find more. And share.
It's really good.
It really is. Were you laughing out loud? Like, how were you?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't laughing out loud, but I was really I've never seen a book that really incorporates. It's not easy to do. Like she's a talented. It was really talented. Even if you're immersed in this language, to regurgitate it like this,
100%.
seen onto another book's plot line is really impressive.
Okay, I know. Bela Sarah Bennett. My husband is the Menahel of Sha'arei Emes. Have you heard of it? Mr. Rothman is a very generous supporter, a real pillar of the yeshiva. Yes, I believe I've heard of it. In Brooklyn, isn't it? Mrs. Harris said. Exactly. Do you live in Brooklyn? No, Mrs. Harris said. We live in Lawrence. She gave Bela Sarah a smile and stood up to go wash for bread. Which consisted of a choice of mini French baguettes or seeded sourdough rolls. So specific and perfect.
Yeah.
Ooh, upscale. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay. Ooh, upscale, Bela Sarah thought. She'd once driven to Lawrence with her sister when her sister was desperate for a gown for her son's wedding and had found a gemach listing there. The houses seemed like palaces compared to her cramped, creaky 3-bedroom hovel. Hovel is a word, I was thinking as I read this, that's English, that sounds like Yiddish.
Hovel could be Yiddish. Yeah, totally. Hovel. Yeah.
This, Mrs. Harris, was clearly way out of Bela Sarah's league. You could tell she had a self-assurance that surely came from sitting on a pile of money. Or was it smugness, not self-assurance, that Bela Sarah had detected? Anyway, just every single thing.
It's really funny, though, because, like, Bela Sarah is, like, it's really the same personality as the mom from actual Pride and Prejudice, but it seems like a totally real, like, Brooklyn mom character. Just, like, uncouth, like, no filter, no, like, sense of, like, I don't know when to say what, like, no, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's
perfect.
It's so perfect and so realistic.
It really is.
And also, very funny.
It really is. But also, there are some specific nuances that I have been laughing about for over a decade with our dear friend Jonathan that literally comes up here, which is that there's certain foods at weddings, like kosher weddings. And by the way, this could traverse multiple cultures and we just don't know. But like, You know, like the little bird's nest, like the like potato, like
Sure.
the little bird's nest of like shredded potatoes, and
Yeah,
there's like
yeah.
potatoes in the potatoes. Okay. And then this is what they say: prime rib and capon. They're eating. Sorry, they're eating. They're at a wedding. Prime rib and capon, she remarked admiringly to Mrs. Harris, must have cost a fortune. And look at the pretty way they tie up the asparagus with a scallion. Jonathan and I joke about vegetables being wrapped and tied in a bow of a scallion, and have been
That's
since we've
really
been together
funny.
at kosher meals for years. And it's in this
That's
book.
really funny. They do
To
always do
tie the
that. I didn't know that was
asparagus.
a from thing. That's so
I'm
funny.
saying it's possible it's not.
Right.
It's just that
Right. That bundle is everywhere.
yes.
It's really funny.
Kosher caterers are tying
They
up
love
those
that.
veggies in a
Yeah.
scallion.
Oh yeah, it's
They love
classy.
that. They love a bird's nest.
Absolutely. And a sushi bar that makes it all.
Oh, of course. So much sushi. Although one time, you ever read the FJJ, the Flatbush Jewish Journal? You ever read the FJJ?
No, but I love those from newspapers. I want to.
You'd love to read the Flatbush Jewish Journal.
Okay.
There was once a letter to the editor or whatever the advice column was, asking, I know that there's sushi at all of our events, and we know that sushi is commonplace. There's always a platter of sushi, everything you're saying, but like, is it really like, like how like the concept of like in the spirit of Shabbos?
Sure.
It was like, is it really like in the spirit of kashrut? Because it's like,
oh, because typically it would be like
such a like Gentile food.
I see.
There's like a whole letter about this.
I'm sure there
sushi
was a
thing.
very thoughtful answer.
I'm sure it was, and also no one wants to stop eating their sushi. You see, this is in every other page of this book.
Of course. I remember the
Yeah.
crazy thing is does this still exist? I haven't been in like a from place that has sushi in a while, but like it used to be that
Okay.
the from places, like a kosher grocery store that had like a little sushi like
Yes.
counter.
Yes.
The guys behind it would be dressed in like, I feel very
Gimmicky.
inappropriate, like, yes, imitation, like clothes of ancient Japan.
Yes.
And that just seemed
Okay.
like, I mean, like, it just seemed.
But they weren't Japanese.
They probably were. They were often Asian. I doubt they were Japanese. But even if they were, it just seems
It seemed racist to you.
Seemed racist.
Yeah.
And, just like kind of silly.
It's still the case. It's still the
Why
case.
would the person making your sushi be wearing that?
The last bar mitzvah I was at, amazing sushi. Not the last bar mitzvah I was at. The last bar mitzvah I was at that I remember seeing sushi at.
Yeah.
Also, I was interested because it was like on Shabbos, but they were making the sushi like right there on the spot.
Interesting. How'd that happen?
It was like shalish sudis. How do you say that word?
Shalashudis, I think.
Shalashudis.
Shalashudis.
It was like that part of the bar mitzvah.
Huh.
We
Interesting.
went for that at the shul. It was like in the kiddush room of the shul.
Right.
Sushi on the spot,
Yeah, yeah.
on Shabbat. Thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Like what?
Definitely
Right.
dressed up like that.
Eesh.
Sushi chefs in general are often wearing, yeah.
I don't know.
That's true in
Is
that's true
it?
in non-kosher sushi in Japanese restaurants. I think you'll see that. I have to pay attention now.
I don't know. I went to like a gala for my work and there was like a very nice sushi bar, but it was just like wait staff wearing the same thing as everyone else. Like,
I'm gonna pay attention to this. Whatever I do next.
I guess
which
it's
is not
one
gonna
thing
be for
if it's a
long time.
Japanese restaurant and everyone is dressed like that. It's one thing if it's a kosher supermarket, everyone is dressed like whatever they're dressed as, and just the two guys behind the sushi counter are wearing those outfits.
or in costumes.
It seems weird. But,
Yeah, 100%.
listen.
But the amount, I am looking though at like the amount of times that sushi and food and all this stuff comes up, but it's like this entire book is about, it's like you're at some kind of wedding. Look at this buffet, Leora screeched as they entered the main dining room, teetering on her ridiculous platform heels. This is the night she gets wasted.
Right.
Mommy, there's tons of sushi. There's a whole barbecue bar. Shh, Bela Sarah said. Yes, it's beautiful, but act like a lady, please. Eliza had been to several high-end weddings, but had to admit this one took the cake. She hesitated to eat anything. She felt so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of choice. She was paralyzed. If I start now, I won't stop, she told Shayna. There's no end. I know, Shayna said, daintily nibbling some salad while trying to keep her lipstick from smearing. I have to eat something, though. I'm starving, but I want to still fit into my dress by the end of the evening. Every single thing I have read has all the same elements in it.
But it's funny.
I know. Sari sat packaged in white lace on the Bedekin platform, graciously greeting an endless stream of guests and earnestly dispensing brachas with her eyes squeezed shut in concentration. Finally, the sound of trumpets announced the arrival of her sheepishly grinning cousin. I
love those trumpets.
So you want me to be the audiobook reader? Sheepishly grinning. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as he entered, flanked by his beaming father and father-in-law, followed by a mass of black-headed bacharim. Shayna caught sight of Yael on the other side of the platform, standing with her mother. She smiled and gave a discreet wave that she hoped appeared friendly without being too ingratiating. In the meantime, she scanned the mass of bacharim, trying to get a glimpse of Chaim, but she couldn't see much over the sea of black hats. Anyway, it's gold.
So good. That's really good. Yeah, there's even a character. Isn't there a character who like who they think has a real eating disorder, and then in the end, one of them is like, "I'm gonna try to get closer with her and recommend some therapy." Like it's very sort of like, you know.
They all have eating disorders. I don't know. I don't remember that.
There was one, that out of town overbearing aunt who lives in Rosedale, who wanted Danny to marry her daughter. That daughter was described as being like possibly having an eating disorder, and then Charna was going to try to like recommend therapy.
There was a lot of very disparaging comments about mental health in general, which I also think happens in this community, where it's like people with like, it's like there's like they're listing a bunch of character traits about someone, like, you know, he might be this and he might be that, and for all I know, he's on antipsychotic drugs. Like,
right.
As if anyone who takes any medication is like unfit to be wed.
Totally.
Where like a huge percentage of people obviously are like medicated for a variety of things and like all deserve love.
Right. But for them, it's like that's a black mark on a very sort of like sort of prescriptive way of looking at these things, you know, like sort of resume. But everyone's a resume.
Exactly. It's very this community. It's very real. Like it really is the way that.
But also, like, this woman is probably from this community, and she has the insight to mock this, which indicates to me that this is not the entirety of the community. This is like taking one funny, shallow look at one part of the community. But I think like the same way Jane Austen was part of this community, but mocking it because there was more to it. There were people with insight who
for
didn't.
Sure, you're right. That's a good, of course.
So I don't want to say I think that that community comes down to this. I think this is like the way any romantic comedy has like tropes and funny things, but it's sort of like you couldn't sum up the whole culture with that.
100%. It is something that comes up often, though. All these things, the weight,
I'm sure,
the money,
I'm sure.
No, I mean in the book, probably in real life too, but I mean the book. But I do think, by the way, like in this like Shad Khan resume community, and I'm very curious, like what Eliza Ben Shalom would say, because she was so like special and thoughtful and like generous of spirit,
right?
But I do think that this idea that like, you know, someone would be on medication and blah, 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 like does get in the way of matches for sure. But also even the matches of their siblings.
Right. That's what they were all worried about. Like Leora throwing up on the dance floor. They were like, who's going to want to date any of us?
Yes. And that a little bit is the truth. Also, there was that letter, that like heartfelt letter.
Which one?
Danny wrote.
Oh, yes. Explaining everything. Right. With an email. He was an email,
in Pride
right?
And Prejudice.
Yes.
He like sends an email explaining, and that's how they start dating, actually.
Right. Although she did say, the author also in her afterward said the one character she made up was the shadchan.
Right. You needed that shadchan.
The shadchan was critical, and they didn't need that in Pride and Prejudice because there wasn't that sort of religious prohibition against with men and women. There was like propriety and whatever, but there wasn't that same level of separateness.
One thing I feel like I don't know as intimately is like the Hungarian Jewish traditions. Like there's Hungarian Jewish foods and like some Hungarian Jewish customs mentioned in the book.
Right.
That I'm sure like super accurate. I just don't, I guess just like my experience. I just have less experience with that.
Yeah, I don't really know them either.
The
I know
foods.
like kokos something is like a
Kokos
Hungarian.
cake is, oh, is it?
I think it's a Hungarian thing. I think so. Didn't
Oh,
they
we eat
say
kokos
something
cake.
about that in the book?
That was a different food, though. There were other
There were other
Hungarian
foods.
foods
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
that I didn't know. Love the kokos cake. Okay, what's this one? I wanted to get back to the five towns before it got really late. Not everybody has the zechus.
Zechus, like
Zeches?
zechus, like the
Zechus.
merit, like the.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you really think it's a zechus? Eliza replied. Oh, because it's not everyone has the zechus to be from Brooklyn. She's like, do you really think it's a zechus? Eliza replied as he laughed nervously. In some cases, yes, I do actually. I think my friend Chaim here is a prime example. His midos are exemplary. Ah, shucks. Chaim drawled with an exaggerated shrug as his mother smiled appreciatively and gave his shoulders an affectionate squeeze. Actually, many people believe Great Meadows are the exclusive province of out-of-towners. They say Brooklyn people are too rude and fancy. This out-of-town thing, like, I feel like our listeners who aren't, do you think everyone understands, like, what the out-of-town, I think, no, I don't know that people even understand this out-of-town Jew thing.
Right. It's also funny to call Long
Like New
Island out of
Yorkers.
town.
No, they didn't. They were considered,
They weren't considered out of town,
considered
right?
out-
Okay.
no.
Well, because the whole thing
No.
was in the beginning, Aliza hears Danny making a pejorative comment about Brooklyn. And is like, in Lawrence, we're not like this.
Right.
But right.
But out-of-town Jews, I want to make sure our listeners know, is about Jews outside of New York, outside of the tri-state area. I mean, New York, really.
Outside of the like immediate New York area.
Like a modern, or like a from, and it's like some people when they're dating, like they want to date an out-of-town Jew. They're
Right.
like, oh, it's like, but they don't say out-of-town Jew, which is an out-of-towner.
Out-of-towner, right. It has a certain
You're
connotation.
more suited.
That you're sort of like more earnest and less jaded, and you're more maybe like open-minded
Laid back.
or laid back. Yeah. Not as materialistic.
Open-minded, chill, this,
Right,
that.
exactly.
It's like, I remember hearing, like, if like someone was dating or like whatever, having a hard time dating or this or that, like he needs an out-of-towner. He needs an out of, you know. It's
Right.
like so much
Right,
good
that's
stuff.
weird lingo. Yeah, out of towner. Everyone but New York.
100%.
It's like funny. It's like you would think that it's most of the world is out of town. It's funny.
Trying to find you more. Oh, Chinese auctions make an appearance.
Do they? I think I missed that.
There's just so much. So the Chinese auctions
Oh my
is a
God.
kind of auction that would never be called a Chinese auction today in 2025.
What's it
We have them in
called?
New Jersey. Well, in New Jersey, they're called tricky trays, and that's like only I went down a Reddit rabbit hole when I went to my first tricky tray a year ago.
Okay.
Because I was like, I've never heard the term tricky tray in my life, and everyone's just saying tricky tray. Like everyone knows this term. You go into the tricky tray, you're going to tricky tray. I'm like,
What is that?
I only
Right.
moved like 20 minutes away. Like, what is this? And then I realized when the event was described to me, I'm like, oh, a Chinese auction. Oh, right. I'm sure they're not called that anymore.
The new word is
No wonder.
tricky tray. Weird.
But it's not. I really think it's just a New Jersey thing. And I think in the yeshivish world or firm world, they still 100% call it Chinese auctions because
Right.
here is in the book. But it's Mrs. Harris politely introduced Bela Sarah to the others. Could Libby Spira be that Libby Spira who headed the big Hachnasis Kala Fund for Eretz Yisrael? Was Toby Schwartz the Toby Schwartz who was honored at the last BMG dinner for giving $1 million to the yeshiva? Feeling quite cowed, I'm about butchering this. Bela Sarah felt silent and tried not to gawk as the conversation turned to Chinese auction and Beaker Holm committees and Libby's son's engagement to a girl from Boston, of all places.
It really does have that Jane Austen like cadence. It's really good.
Yes. Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. Has she ever been so svelte as a girl? Before long, the other women at her table got up and signed sighs, not wanting to shirk their duty to participate in the smicha. What are they talking about? And Eva skipped around. And even Bela Sarah heaved herself out of her chair to shuffle for a few minutes in the very crowded circle of silk and lace. The noise, crush of bodies, and mixed odor of perspiration and perfume was too much for her, however, and eventually she took herself out to the lobby to sit. You know what it's like when you're just simcha dancing and it stinks.
Totally. Been there.
just absolutely disgusting.
Totally. So
Sweaty but
gross.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
But anyway, I couldn't believe Chinese auctions made an appearance in this book too. Everything. This book has it all.
Wow. I really wonder what most people wait. It's the kind of auction where it's like you put tickets into different boxes.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
I know.
Tricky Tray.
Okay.
So you put tickets in different things. So it's like giant baskets of crazy stuff.
Right.
Tickets, and then the tickets are pulled.
Did you win anything good?
I didn't. I didn't win anything good, and I won this was so weird because it was not a Jewish event, and there were wine pulls also during the night.
Okay.
And I won a giant bottle of Moscato.
That's so funny. People love that Moscato.
Love Moscato.
It's a big thing. Wait, you won a kosher bottle of Moscato even though it was not a Jewish
kosher
event?
wine. That's what people
That's
drink.
a thing. It's so weird.
Yes, it's just Jersey Italians
love their
bringing
Moscato
to a Tricky Tray. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's so funny.
That's
Even
the
at
Moscato.
our Rip Bodice event, William was like, "Yeah, get a bottle of Moscato." I was like, "Really?" And then that bottle
people
was
like it.
gone. Yeah. That was the
Gone,
first
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
People love that.
Great. That's funny that you won that. I would like to go to one. It sounds fun.
You know what? It was really fun, and also this very specific culture that I had never been a part of. And there were Tricky Tray goers. There's Tricky Tray Facebook groups. So
wow.
first the tickets were only open to, this was for her cheer gym. So first the tickets were only open to us, and then the tickets were open to other people, and then they opened it to the public. And once Tricky Tray events are posted to the public, you got these Tricky Tray people who they had binders, they had cowbells, they had a whole science to it. They were winning everything. They were putting so much money into this and all their tickets, and
oh
it
wow,
was really
they're professional
intense.
Tricky
You can't
Traders.
put professional Tricky Traders. You can't put one ticket into a thing and hope to win.
Sure.
You have to put all your tickets into it.
I see. Wow.
And I knew that, so I was going for the outdoor pizza oven.
Oh, fun.
But no,
one of those professionals get it?
They got everything. The grand prize was there's also trips and huge grand prizes, but they were cowbelling. They had binders where I had a bunch of tickets on the table just scattered in a heap, where when they were calling numbers I was trying to find the number, am I ever just
right,
no organization, just a mess.
Right.
No, they had numbers in order in their binder, they were highlighting things. It was really intense watching them go. I happened to be seated right near them. Anyway, it would be really fun.
This reminds me that also many years ago when I was organizing women's clothing swaps at Altschul, I don't know how they found it because it was just a thing posted on our email, but a few of these clothing swap, there's a whole world of people I think who are the equivalent of those Tricky Tray people, but for clothing swaps. They hunt, they go to clothing swaps. A couple people emailed me and we're is this swap open? Can we come? Random people. And I was like, no. I don't want random, hunt, clothing swap deal hunters coming. We wanted a cute thing where people who knew each other, who were being generous and being that looks great, you take that. Not
take that. You take this Free People cardigan I wore for 7 years but don't want to look at, but it'll look great on you.
Exactly. But I don't want some random person being ooh, a Free People cardigan and that feels very transactional.
Also, what are they bringing to the table?
Exactly. No, I just didn't want
Maybe this is mean. Maybe they need clothes and we're being mean.
No, I think it's a hobby for them, which is fine. It's a cute hobby, but I just
take your hobby to someone else's clothing swap, not Malya's.
It's not so communal.
Well, okay, so how was that? Because I actually suggested this to my neighbors 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I was describing it, and everyone was staring at me as if they've never heard of a clothing swap.
Really?
You're describing it as if clothing swaps is a popular thing that happens to the point that other randos can show up.
Yeah.
So, how many people were involved in it? How'd it go? Tell me, do you remember getting anything good?
Yeah, it was. First of all, I loved it. I thought it was so nice. I still have to this day a Marc Jacobs really cute sweater that I wear to work all the time that I got from that clothing swap probably 8 or 9 years ago.
Was it you have to bring a certain number of items to participate, or everyone just brought a bag?
We were very loose about it because it was just a group of women who all knew each other, and we were just sort of bring your nice things. Don't bring a stained T-shirt from your camp from 20 years ago. Bring things that you think other people would like. We'll try to have
accessories included.
Accessories, shoes, whatever. A couple of us volunteered, but anything that no one wanted, we would take to Housing Works at the end.
Yes, exactly. That has to be a part of it.
Yeah. And then,
I'd like to be like, I guess I'll keep the cardigan if no one wants it.
yeah, people did that. That was fine. Like if you
No,
really,
I would donate it.
whatever. And then we didn't really, that's why I didn't want to have like people coming in from like, we didn't make such strict rules. We were just like, you kind of, it's fun because you sell your items. Like you're like, I love this Free People sweater. I'm sick of it because I've had it for 7 years, but it's so cute. You can wear it to work. That, you do a whole spiel, and then like someone tries it on, and everyone's like, that looks great or whatever, and and then you keep it, and it's fun, and no one cares. Like one person could get 10 things, one person could get one thing. Like we didn't have rules,
and no one cared. Like the sizing thing sort of just works out because there's just a mix.
Yeah, we were like. Yeah, we were just sort of like, it was a variety of people. And even if you weren't like, some people, you'll have something with a looser fit because that looks cute. Like, I mean, and there were also accessories. It worked out. It was always fine.
You did it once or you did it more than once?
More than once. I want to say probably did it like half a dozen times.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It's done? You're done with it?
I'm done with it because I'm not really part of Altschul anymore. I think that they might still have a swap periodically.
You're going to be the rando who shows up.
I might be the rando. No one will know me anymore. Yeah, exactly. But I would organize it if I were like part of a group that wanted to do that. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I mentioned it to my neighbors the other day because I was like, "Is this a fun idea?" And then I described it, and one person was like, "What about sizes?" I was like, "I don't know. We'll bring accessories and stuff too. Everyone will be included."
Yeah,
it's good. It's really fun.
I say go for it.
Anyway, Chinese auctions are fun too.
They are.
Even though we can't call them that.
Right.
Tricky tray.
Tricky tray. I'm going to look up if there's other terms for them.
Yeah. Oh, they're just regular. They're called like regular auctions or raffles.
Oh, really?
Raffles. Something like raffles.
Raffles. Okay.
Okay. So other words we got that I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Süßigkeit. I know Süßigkeit, like sweetie.
Yeah, Süßigkeit. Or like pretty, like, I thought Süß meant pretty.
Right. Mm-hmm. Perhaps not. Lior is a very Leipzig young person who simply needs to find herself. She's a senior in high school, and in a year or so she can get married, and then she'll have to assume some responsibility. Then she'll calm down, and like most adolescents do. But Abba, how do you expect her to find someone to marry if she gets a horrible reputation? Shayna and I are having a hard enough time, and Shayna is at Sudeikis. Shayna will find someone, her father said with a sad little smile. I'm not worried. You will too. Try to have bitachon. Hashem knows what he's doing, Süßigkeit. He rose and gave her a peck on the head. I have to get back to yeshiva now. He pulled on his coat, hat, benched quickly, and headed out the door. That's the menahel.
The menahel. Words of wisdom.
It's just filled. It's like every single page is just the gift that keeps on giving.
Also, that menahel is supposed to have such beautiful Torah values. Again, thinks nothing of marrying his daughter off to like a scoundrel at the drop of a hat because she was sleeping across the street, across the road from him, and I don't even know what. It was like some scandal. I question those decisions, but
we're curious about this chinuch menachel. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to find if there's anything else we need to discuss.
I didn't think the book really had so many. Like that was the big plot hole, if you could call that a plot hole for me, or just even like just questionable to me if that's how that would have ended up. It seemed very dramatic, but other than that, I thought it was pretty. Like I didn't have so many plot holes. Like I thought it was
not so many plot holes. Just gems, just gem after gem after gem of yeshivish. But okay, there are a couple things I didn't know about. You know when you talk about someone who died. I didn't know that it's gendered.
Oh, like, yeah. Aleha hashalom, right? Is for a woman.
But I've never heard anyone say that. Have you heard that? People say that?
I think I have, yeah. But right, I mean only for who says like Allah. That's a frum thing to say. Like does somebody who's not in a frum community say like Allah hashalom?
I've just never heard anyone use it for a woman. It with gendered.
Yeah, no, I get it. Have I heard that said? I think I have.
Aleha hashalom.
Aleha hashalom. Maybe they just slur it and it just sounds the same.
Maybe they're saying it so fast. It's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Shalashudas.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay, here's another one. Her shalom bias even improved substantially, for with her worries about shidduchim and money assuaged, she became much less of a nag and considerably more pleasant to live with. She lost no opportunity. Also, I think it's funny to, like, when someone's less of a bitch, say that their shalom bias has improved. Like, that's funny. She's not stressed anymore, so she's being more pleasant.
Right.
Which means her shalom bias has improved.
There you go.
That's funny.
Right.
She lost no opportunity to boast to anyone willing to listen about how much emuna and bitachon her husband had displayed throughout his girl shidduch difficulties, and look how Hashem had rewarded them. I was absolutely plotzing, feeling like my girls would never find their basherts, but Baruch was a rock, she'd say. But look, he was right, and I was wrong. Hashem brings the Yeshuas keheref ayin. What's that one?
So good.
So good. What was that?
Like he brings Yeshua's is like the salvation, like the salvation. Keheref ayin is like at the drop of at a moment's notice, like at the batting of an eye.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like about Mashiach, like it could come, immediately, like right away.
Yeshua's keheref ayin.
Yeah,
yeah, but it came in the form of these
rich guys
that married their daughters.
Of course,
yeah. Rich guys and one ne'er-do-well.
Right.
Anyway, that's the end of the book.
Great.
And honestly, I think a lot of our listeners would enjoy this one as a read.
Totally. If you like this world and these isms, I mean, it's unparalleled, I think.
This was literally just a couple of things I bookmarked, but every page.
Right. It's true. It's true. That's the whole book. It's so funny.
It really is. It really is. I started to take notes on things to talk about in the book. And then instead I was like, I'm just going to highlight every single thing I want to talk about. These are the notes. Yeshivish people talking shit in Yeshivish? That's my first note. Pomegranate is my second note.
Yep.
This is the last note. And then the rest I decided to pivot. Chesky.
Okay, we covered it. We covered it all.
Oh my God.
It's really
this is funny. Okay. Read this book, Pride and Preference. And
why is it called Pride and Preference? I understand it's similar to Pride and Prejudice, but what's preference?
The preferences in dating? I don't know.
I guess. It seems like a random word that sort of sounds like prejudice but doesn't.
I know. I think it was. I think it was.
That's a weak point.
That's what I think.
In my opinion, but okay.
It is. It is. What would have been better? I don't know.
Like a Yiddish word that starts with a P, like pride and like parnasa.
Yeah. Oh, 100% pride and parnasa. Please rename it. Please. Petition to rename the book. I'm going to be the first signer.
That's our one main note to the author. Consider pride and parnasa.
That is. Also, the thing about the weight is, like, if it's just like this is the silliness in the community and like you just want to highlight that and laugh about that, but also it's like it's too much. But okay, I get it. A lot of people are this way. I hear it in my own when I'm around yeshivish and other from people constantly.
Sure, and I'm sure this is probably in Pride and Prejudice too.
Yes. Appearance, this, that.
Yeah.
True. Okay. One thing happened, and I'm really happy that we cleared it up. But this is in regards to what I think we should read next. Okay. 2 or 3 years ago, someone recommended a book to us that was called, I can't remember the name. Okay. And I read the book before recommending it to you and realized it was like not really a Jewish romance. There was like one mention of a shiva, and I moved on.
Right.
I then thought that author of that book was this other author named Sarah Goodman Confino, and they are not the same person at all.
Okay.
It's because their cover art looks very similar. And Jean Meltzer, in our conversation with her, mentioned her dear friend Sarah Goodman Confino, and I was like, oh, did she write that book? Which now I can't remember the name. And she's like, no, she didn't write that. And I looked up the book quickly and realized what had happened.
I see.
For the past several years, I've been avoiding Sarah Goodman Confino books because I thought she was this other author called like One Italian Summer or something was the book.
Okay.
It's not. They're two different authors.
Great.
And I think they just have similar cover art. And now I think, yeah, Rebecca Searle, 2 different people. And I think we should read Sarah Goodman Confino because she's a dear friend of Jean's, and I think that she writes a lot of Jewish romance. So we should read some of her.
Awesome.
So she wrote this book called Don't Forget to Write. And this is the description. Want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. In 1960, a young woman discovers a freedom she never knew existed in this exhilarating, funny, and emotional novel by the best-selling author of She's Up to No Good. When Marilyn Kleinman is caught making out with the rabbi's son in front of the whole congregation, her parents ship her off to her great-aunt Ada for the summer. If anyone can save their daughter's reputation as Philadelphia's strict premier matchmaker, either that or Marilyn can kiss college goodbye. To Marilyn's surprise, Ada's not the humorless septuagenarian her mother described. Not with that platinum blonde hair, Hermes scarf, and Cadillac convertible. She's sharp, straight-talking, takes her job very seriously, and abides by her own rules, mostly. As the summer unfolds, Ada and Marilyn head for the Jersey Shore, where Marilyn helps Ada scope out eligible matches for anyone but Marilyn, that is. Because if there's one thing Marilyn's learned from Ada, it's that she doesn't have to settle. With the school year quickly approaching and her father threatening to disinherit her, Marilyn must make her choice for the future. Her future, return to the comfortable life she knows or embrace a risky, unknown path on her own.
Great. And I love that it's set on the Jersey Shore. I remember Jean was talking about that she wrote with that setting.
It's set on the Jersey Shore.
Fun.
She makes out with her rabbi. There's a matchmaker. I think it's going to be fun.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Don't forget to write. Cool.
So don't forget to write.
Great.
It's on Kindle Unlimited if anyone has Kindle Unlimited.
Amazing.
Now might be a good time to start your free Kindle Unlimited month.
It's good to time those things.
Yeah. Okay, this was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we're back.
I'm glad we're back. We'll be back again in 2 weeks because we're back. We're back.
Yeah, season 3.
With season 3's back. But don't forget to write. This podcast is produced by William Levin and brought to you by Newish Traditions. Hanukkah Punk's available on Newish Traditions. You might want to get it early. Next Hanukkah is December 14th, coming up in a year. 20% off with code Hanukkah Erotica, HANUKKAHEROTICA. And follow us on Instagram.
I have to say,
DM us if you
we
wanna
have
chat.
Hanukkah Pong down at our house in South New Jersey. The kids were playing with it for like 2 hours straight.
So glad.
Yeah.
Kids love it.
It's great.
Yeah. Teach them young.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, follow us, leave us a review. That's everything.
Fabulous.
Good night.
Shavua Tov. Good night.
Shavua Tov.